Hello and welcome. Today, I want to take you on a journey, not through space, but through time, and through the human mind itself. We're going to explore one of humanity's greatest inventions, something so fundamental, so basic, that we often forget it had to be invented at all. This is the story of numbers.
Seriously, just stop for a second. Try to picture it. No way to measure anything, no way to build or trade with any kind of precision. Our earliest ancestors, they faced this reality every single day. They had to use whatever was on hand, sticks, stones, their own fingers, to answer a very basic question. How many? And that simple need, right there, that is the seed from which all of mathematics has grown.
So, to tackle this problem, civilizations all over the world each came up with their own solution. We call these solutions number systems. And you see, each one is like a unique window into the mind of the culture that created it, their own specific way of bringing order to a chaotic world. All right, so our story really begins with these earliest attempts. We're talking about people trying to capture the very idea of quantity, using the tools and the logic that they had. These ancient answers were frankly ingenious, but as we're about to see, they each had their limits.
So let's take the Gumugal people of Australia, for example. Their system was beautifully simple, built on just two main numbers. One was Europan, two was Ukasar. Three, well, that was just 2 and 1. And if you wanted to count anything more than 6, it was just Raz, which basically means a lot. It was a system that worked perfectly for their life, where counting huge quantities wasn't really a daily concern. Perfect for a small scale, but you couldn't build an empire with it. Okay, now we're going to jump across the world to ancient Egypt. Around 3000 BCE, they made a massive leap forward. They created a base 10 system. Now, a base is just how you group numbers. So base 10 simply means they grouped things in sets of 10, just like we do, most likely because, well, we have 10 fingers. This was a huge step toward managing a complex society. And the symbols they used, wow, they were just poetry. A simple line for 1, a coil of rope for 100, a beautiful lotus flower for 1,000, and my personal favorite, an astonished man, arms raised high, to represent 1 million. It's beautiful, it's intuitive, but here's the catch. Writing a big number, say 999, meant you had to carve out 27 separate symbols. It was elegant for sure, but not exactly efficient.
Fast forward a bit, and you've got the Romans. They built one of the most powerful empires in history, and they did it with a number system we still recognize today. Instead of inventing new symbols, they just repurposed letters from their own alphabet. Just these 7 letters: I, V, X, L, C, D, and M. It was a really powerful tool for recording numbers on buildings and in their records. But here's the thing. Try doing multiplication with these. Imagine trying to multiply CXX3 by XLVI. It's a nightmare. And just like the Egyptians, they were missing something huge. You know, when you put them side by side like this, something just jumps out at you, doesn't it? Look at that middle row. Symbol for 0. None. For either of them. They literally had no concept for nothing, no way to represent an absence of value. And that was a massive roadblock they just couldn't get past. But here's what's so fascinating. Base 10 wasn't the only game in town, not by a long shot. Other brilliant civilizations looked at the same problem and came up with completely different, totally brilliant solutions. Over in Mesopotamia, they came up with a base 60 system. Yeah, base 60. Sounds a little weird to us, right? But it was actually genius for them. The number 60 can be divided by so many other numbers, which made it fantastic for trade and especially for astronomy and measuring angles. And they could write any number up to 59 using just 2 simple symbols. Incredible. And if you're thinking, okay, that's a cool history fact, but what does it have to do with me? Well, take a look at your watch. Why are there 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour? Yep, that is the ghost of Mesopotamia, a 4,000-year-old idea still ticking away in our lives every single day. It just shows you how deep these roots really go. Okay, let's travel again, this time across the world to the jungles of Central America. The Mayan civilization developed what might just be the most elegant system of them all. It was a base 20 system, maybe from counting fingers and toes, and all it needed were 2 symbols, a simple dot for 1 and a bar for 5. But, and this is a huge but, the Mayans did something the Egyptians and Romans never did. They came up with a concept for 0. They even gave it a symbol, this beautiful seashell.
Now, this wasn't just about counting. This was a massive philosophical and mathematical leap forward. To give nothing a name and a shape, that's profound.
And that brings us to the real turning point in our story. It's a story that starts, funnily enough, with the invention of, well, nothing. The power of the void. The one idea that would unlock all of modern mathematics. The system that you and I use every single day, the one with 0, 1, 2, all the way to 9, that system was born in India. Sometime between the 1st and 4th centuries, mathematicians there created something so incredibly powerful, so perfectly efficient, that it would eventually be adopted by the entire world. It had 2 key ingredients that made it revolutionary. First was this idea of place value. It sounds technical, but it's really simple. It just means a digit's value depends on where you put it. The 1 in the number 1 is just 1. But the 1 in the number 10 stands for 10. And in 100, it's 100. That one simple rule, it changed everything. It made math so much easier. And the second ingredient was this.
In Sanskrit, they called it shunya, which means emptiness or the void. And this little symbol for nothing, it turned out to be everything. You see, the Mayans had a 0, which was amazing, but the Indian system was the first to combine it with a fully fledged place value system. 0 wasn't just a number, it was the placeholder that made the whole system work. This symbol for nothingness literally made everything else possible.
And from that incredible innovation, a truly global system was born, a language of numbers that connects all of us today, no matter where we live or what language we speak.
I mean, just look at the elegance of it. You've got just 10 simple symbols, a base of 10, makes sense, right? 10 fingers, a true place value system, which makes it super efficient. And of course, the hero of our story, 0. All those pieces together created the most powerful tool for calculation the world had ever seen.
From India, it traveled with Arab merchants and scholars who brought it to the Middle East, then Europe, and eventually the whole world. That's why we call it the Hindu-Arabic numeral system. And why does this matter to you? Well, the device you're watching this on right now, the satellites that beam information across the globe, the entire global economy, every bit of it is built on this simple, ancient idea. It all runs on place value. It all runs on 0.
This amazing system has served us incredibly well for almost 2,000 years. But as we've seen, every number system was built to solve the problems of its time. Counting sheep, mapping the stars. So that leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? What are the huge new problems we face today and in the future that might require a whole new way of counting? What is our next great unknown? And what kind of symbols will we have to invent to understand it?